Last time we looked into compound data types in Rust, and we've seen that tuples are part of compound data types. We start talking about tuples, and we've seen that we can destructure a tuple or unpack a tuple using pattern matching, and we have this happening in our example where this function here is returning a tuple and we are destructuring this tuple here, and then we can access the values of this tuple with this stream here and handle, and then we are using this handle later on. Now we are going to talk a bit more about tuples. Tuple is a primitive type, and a tuple is a finite heterogeneous sequence. So what do we mean by a finite heterogeneous sequence? We mean that tuples are finite, so they have a length, and we've seen also that tuples cannot grow. So if there is a tuple with length 3, we cannot shrink and we cannot add elements to this tuple. And this length is also sometimes called arity. And each tuple of a different length is a different distinct type. So that we mean by tuples being finite. What do we mean about tuples being heterogeneous? So this means that each element of the tuple can have a different type. And here is one example of a tuple of different types. Tuples are also a sequence, and this means that they can be accessed by position, and this is called tuple indexing, and it looks like this. So here we have a tuple, and then we can access each element by indexing. So we have this tuple dot index 0 is this element, index 1 is this element, and index 2 is this element. So now we are going to change a bit our example code and use this indexing. Before we've seen that to get the individual values out of a tuple, we can use pattern matching to destructure a tuple. That is also called a tuple unpacking, and we've seen examples like here. So we are creating this tuple here, and then we are destructuring this tuple, and then we can access the individual values by these names here. So here in this example we are printing the value of y is this one, and it should be 6.4. So if we run, the value of y is 6.4. We are destructuring, and this name here now is binding to this value here. So now instead of using, I will comment out, and we can talk about comments in Rust in our future tutorial, but I will comment out this line, and I will add this line here, and I will also comment out this line, and I will add this line here. So instead of using tuple unpacking, now what we're doing is, we know that this function here is returning a tuple. So we can define something called a stream tuple. So let stream tuple, and this is how we can construct a tuple, giving here the types. And now we don't have these names anymore in our scope. So instead of referring to this handle here, we don't have it anymore, but I can access the element of this tuple using indexing, and this will be the index 0, and this will be the index 1, and we know that the handle is an output stream handle. It comes from here, uncomment here. We have here that the stream is an output stream, the handle is an output stream handle. When we define the data types of the stream, we're saying that the first element is an output string, and the second element is an output string handle. And now we can simply replace, instead of using handle, we are using this index 1 from our tuple. So let's run and see if it doesn't complain. So it's compiling, building, it played our audio file. This is another way. Instead of using the tuple unpacking, the tuple destructuring, we are using here what is called the indexing, as in this example here from the Rust documentation.